Now friends, the topic for the day is the art of parenting. It's an art. It's a technique. One has to learn it and practice it. Most people, if not all, have children, and we believe that we know how to train them, how to look after them. I'm not saying you do not know, but you have to learn and practice it. It's not easy. Neither is it difficult once you learn it. I will analyze a few points here. We have very limited time. Within this 1 hour, I'll tell you what are all the areas that you've got to look in. It's impossible that you change yourself completely. But it takes a while to grasp it, understand it, and introduce it in your family. So, one of the first things that you have to understand is there are five pranas which each one of us have. The functioning, prana, apana, vyana, smana and udhana. So the faculty of perception, faculty of taking in excretion, distribution of the food, and the last thing which we are concerned is udhana. Udhana Sakti is the capacity to receive new knowledge, fresh knowledge. We are not talking about intellect or intelligence. It is that capacity to receive knowledge, fresh information. The first year of the baby's life, there's an enormous reception. You have no idea what the child receives in the first 1 year. See, it has to learn what is color, what is form, what is sound, what is taste, hundreds and thousands of things it is learning. The capacity is enormous. Now, as the child grows, and at this age, all of us, I'm completely out because I'm past 80. Even you with 40, 45, it becomes dimmer and dimmer. Simple example would be, after 35, you all need glasses to see, just to see. And then hearing diminishes, digestion diminishes. All these faculties diminish as we grow older and older. See, this capacity to receive fresh knowledge is maximum in children. So I remember when I came to Mumbai from Chennai, my hometown Chennai, 1962. I came with my daughter, Sunanda was 6 years old then. Now, within a year, she could talk fluent Hindi. I'm still struggling. Within a year, the capacity is enormous. So that difference, see, even if you want to a problem with your computers, whom do you ask? First you call your children 11, 12 years, look, you say, check something has gone wrong here. And within 5 minutes they'll find out and tell you. So the children, this difference is what a lay person calls it as generation gap. This is a generation gap. So you're not able to cope up. So first thing the parents have to understand that their capacity to receive the knowledge is far ahead of yours. And therefore there will be this gap and you have to be tolerant towards it. See, they pick up the styles coming from anyway, Western countries, the cinemas and all this faster than the older people. That's about all. Then you get annoyed. What is this style, new style you have taken? Huh? And you get annoyed. But same thing you take it up after 5 years. Because you're slow, they're fast. And that gap is the difference. So first of all, you got to understand that there is this difference in absorption of knowledge. The children take it very fast, the older people take more time. That's about it. That's what is known as a generation gap. Number one. Number two is the children have extraordinary energy. The smaller the child, more energy. As you grow up, you have lost your energy, relatively. And that is easily explainable. The children have no worries, no anxieties. What tires you is not your work. Everybody believes that work tires you. And there are so many people who have stayed away from work with the idea of finding rest. They're more restless after they retire. It is not the work. What tires you is the worries of the past, anxiety for the future. Anybody here who is relatively free from this, no worries, no anxieties, is very restful. And you will not find one person in the world who is worried, according to him legitimately, worried and anxious, and still be peaceful. Impossible. The simple proof is the children are never tired. You get fed up. Can't you keep quiet for a while? And if you make the mistake of bringing a small child here, the child is fidgety. It is so restless. He's looking this side, that side, every side, except this side. Now, you keep, mom, shh, keep quiet. Swamiji is speaking, Swamiji is speaking. And then it catches hold of a fellow who has not understood a word of what I'm saying. That fellow also wants some entertainment. He looks at the child. There's something going on. It can't remain. Have you ever noticed? You people must notice all this. When you are standing in the queue in, what do you call this? Immigration or whatever, when you go out, these children, the poor mothers can't control. They can't stay in the queue for them. They keep running in between and then go into the rails and come out of the rails and this. And then after a while, if she's gone too far away, come on, sit here. And then even if your mother holds the child, it'll be jumping. You're all sitting like Lord Buddhas here. So perfect, because no worry, we're full of worries and anxiety, you can't. This is the problem. So you must understand two things, as I told you. The children take the new knowledge very fast, and you take time. And that difference causes the generation gap, and you get intolerant. Secondly, as I said, the children have extraordinary energy. You must not curb the energy, you must direct the energy properly. The parents have a tendency, don't do it. This is not, it's not don't. You got to carefully direct them. See, a simple example would be, suppose there are road accidents. We don't have to suppose. In India, there's a lot of road accidents. What is the reason? What is it? In the Western countries, the traffic in California, 8 lanes up, 8 lanes down, throughout the day and night. No traffic, hardly, no accidents, hardly any accidents. Why so many accidents? We are not following the rules. See, even the tunnels, I find many trucks going without any tail lights. But it's black in color, a dark brown. And if you don't have the lights, you're going to hit it. Now, rules are not followed. There is 2 ways of controlling the traffic. One is to educate people on the rules, traffic rules. Second is very simple, and that's what you are doing with your children. Second is, no car will move than 10 miles an hour, 10 k's an hour. No accidents at all. People walking overtake. To reduce the speed to such an extent, there won't be any accidents. Therefore, friends, to reduce the activities of the children is not the solution. You got to give them a correct direction. Now we got some time. I will explain to you what are the direction that you have to give. First of all, you got to correct yourself. Almost every parent in the world, it could be Eastern or Western, Northern or Southern, everywhere in the world, every parent is attached to the child. This attachment is love plus selfishness. Love is great, but attachment is deadly. Love plus selfishness equals attachment. So when we talk about attachment in the Western countries, how can we not love our children? It's not love. When you view it self-centeredly, then it turns sour. And that's called attachment. And because of attachment, you pamper the children to a point of fault. And you have no idea the damage you do to the children. First I'm coming to the parents, then I'll give you the guidance what you have to do. Correct these terrible iniquities. Now, by giving them what you should do, just because you can afford it. There's a child with a mother brought to me the other day. Lovely child, small child. And she had I don't carry a phone. I don't know what the phone is, but these people at home told me, carry a child. It is A6, is it? A6? Huh? I6, is it? Okay, I6. This is I6, he said. Oh, I nodded. It's very nice, very nice. Very nice. I have a I5 at home, I have a A4, I have a A3. What are all these for? No, I have that, now I got a A6. No, which is nothing wrong. You do not know the damage that you cause the child later on. What happens is, I know again a family in Bombay, at the age of 9, the child is given a wad of notes and he picks up in his 500 Mercedes all the other children around, go to Oberoi and Taj for lunch. I'm not saying you should not send your children for lunch. I'm talking about general pampering to a point of fault. At the age of 25, that boy committed suicide. I've got about 10 cases like that. And they're asking what's wrong with the child. They think the child needs a psychiatrist. I personally recommend the fathers to send a psychiatrist. See, they don't understand that pamper. What happens is, when you do not regulate, moderate, the value is lost. The value of money is lost. The value of valuables is lost. A family in London, the father gives a Ferrari for a birthday at 5 o'clock in the evening. And the mother says, darling, don't you want to see the car? I'll see it in the morning, Mom. Ferrari. I'll see it in the morning, Mom. What you must read there is no kick. There is no excitement. If ordinary fellow in the lower middle class, you buy him a scooter or something, there is excitement. You look for a new watch, there is excitement. So you can't get an excitement of a watch, you can't get excitement of a vehicle, you can't get excitement of a new house, so when the day starts, there's a monotony. By not regulating, moderating, just because you can afford. So therefore, the first thing you have to do, you pamper through attachment. Because of attachment, you pamper, and the children have lost their joy of life. And then what happens, when you have attachment, there is possessiveness. And because of possessiveness, you keep dictating terms. What to do, what not to do. Constantly. Do's and don'ts. Thou shalt not. This is not in our culture. We have to give guidance, not directions. So by these directions, constantly, psychologically what happens to the child, you have no clue. What happens to the child is, either they turn into a vegetable or a rebel. The passive children turn into a vegetable. Vegetable means that they stop reacting to the world. Completely reacting. Some of them have got married, they do not know that they have got married. To that extent. So a person governs them so much, constantly controlling, directing with do's and don'ts. You should do this, you don't. You become either passive children become a vegetable, aggressive children become a rebel. They walk out and they do what they like. So this is what is happening almost to every family. And we don't understand. You take it all as if it is a part of life. Yes, some people become like this, some people no. You create it. The parents create it. Innocently, ignorantly, out of what they call as love, but it's attachment. So then there is, so when you function indiscriminately, when you are, what happens is, when you use your mind and not direct it properly, I'm repeating, you get attached, and then you get, you start controlling them. Then they turn into a vegetable or a rebel. So what you have to do is generally monitor with the intellect. All these are being impulsive. Impulsive means you are acting at the level of the mind. where the intellect buddhi doesn't play a part. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita which says, buddhinashat pranashyati. Verse 63, chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. Look it up. Buddhinashat pranashyati. 62, 63 gives the ladder of fall, how the human being falls. First he says you get into attachment, desire, and then lose your discrimination completely. And then you lose your intellect. Then he says, buddhi nashati. Once you lose your buddhi, pranashyati, total loss. Anything that you do will be a loss. We don't understand that it is the lack of intellect that has caused it. Whether it is a business, you will think the business is outside factors that cause the loss. Nothing outside. It is something inside. You will attribute it to so many things except yourself. You could lose a family, you could lose a business, you could lose your reputation, you can lose anything. You may not know what has caused it. And you will easily equate it to something outside and be satisfied with it. Nothing outside can disturb you except yourself. Learn that today. Nothing in the world can disturb you. But you don't know what has happened or what has happened. Except yourself. So the worst thing that you can happen to a person is when you are dedicated to something and you don't want anything out of that dedication. In short, spend your life in service and sacrifice. All lifetime. And the main, as you know, I've written 10 books. The main book is the Vedanta treatise. That will be the future scripture. I know it after 25 years. None of you understand what it is. But that book, once it comes to the surface, it'll come. Now what has happened just a few months back, somebody has copied the whole thing, verbatim, and printed it. And he is facing legal consequences. That's a part. That could shatter one person. When there is no interest in making anything out of it, no name, no fame, no money, no nothing. It's only a piece of service to the, not only here, everywhere. If that is jeopardized, and you don't feel I feel very sorry for that man who has done it. He has the same name, so he has used it. I don't know the consequences. What I'm trying to say, there cannot be any, if he had taken away a property which I don't have, anything else, it's not as painful as, but still it should not disturb you. It should not disturb you. Nothing in the world should disturb you. So therefore, once you are impulsive, where there is no intellect functioning, you cease to be objective. And once you are not objective, then you are in trouble. Arthur Schopenhauer says, intellect is invisible to a person who has none. Intellect, see the board. Intellect is invisible to the man who has none. So you don't understand that you don't have an intellect. Without intellect, buddhinashat pranashyati. Any field you enter, you are in trouble. So therefore, as far as children is concerned, first of all, locate their swadharma. This is the duty of a parent. From childhood, what is their swadharma? Swa means one's own. Dharma means nature. What is my child's swadharma? Nature. And you must give an opportunity to function in that particular swadharma that is made up of. It's not always necessary that a doctor should make his son a doctor, a lawyer should make his son a lawyer, a businessman is a businessman. Maybe vast majority are brought up in that way, they have that swadharma. A businessman's son may have swadharma, but not necessarily so. I know a very powerful businessman in Chennai, his only son, he had a terrific interest in mathematics. And he attacked him. Mathematics. What do you want to do with mathematics? You got an empire to run. There was such a conflict. That fellow left the house. Now, so first thing you have to, you can still hand over the business in a different way, but you can't force the fellow to do medicine just because you're a doctor. So find out his swadharma. Swa means one's own. Dharma means nature. Paradharma, foreign nature. You can't push him into a field of foreign nature. Simple example would be myself. I belong to a shipping family. We were pioneers of shipping for 90 years business. When I finished my studies and came back, I told my folks, look here, I'm interested in doing some research on this subject. They said, go. I don't know what I would have done in the shipping business. Nothing wrong with business, but I am not having that swadharma. So first of all, you got to locate the swadharma. So in one case in Chennai, a surgeon had an only son. When he finished his schooling, he applied for automobile engineering. The father came to know and he flew into a rage. Automobile engineering? Are you mad? He has already built a 5-storied building, surgery. For whom do you think I built this? He forced the son to do medicine. And he did it. Instead of 5 years, he took 7 years. When his friends said, look here, you're doing the wrong thing. No, it's better. I did it only 5 years, you're doing 7 years medicine. Better training. Ultimately, he became a surgeon. He has so many other surgeons working for him. Any time you go to that clinic, you'll find that fellow is in the garage, fitting cars. They said this ambulance van is not working. Halfway through the operation, he gives and goes away. Of course, others fill it up, stitch it up. But the fellow, paradharmic activity is bhayavaha, says the Gita, is frightful. It's frightful. Bhayavaha means it's fraught with fear. You don't understand. So 90% of the time, your children will follow what you are doing, and it will be the same swadharma. But if there is any such, it's important that parents recognize it. You must recognize it. Otherwise, you would be in trouble. Now, with an intellect, first of all, you must understand, intellect, when I say, is not intelligence. There is a difference between intellect and intelligence. Intellect has to be developed by oneself. No teachers and textbooks will help you. No universities will help you. And all that you are interested in, sending your children to the best school and best university. You get the best intelligence. Intellect to select. And a few children that have opted, the only place in the world today they're developing intellect is where we are having the Vedanta Academy. It's not known. As I said, it's invisible to a person who doesn't have it. So anyway, it's grown from 11 students to, today I heard, I don't know, one of my students said, we are 110 students from 11. All voluntary. The parents, some of the parents are dead against their going. And the children have defied them and come. I have a real problem. Now, I have nothing to do with it, but still they blame me also for having started the academy. So there's only place where I train 3 years to develop the intellect. That's it, nothing else. Once you develop the intellect, you can do anything. It doesn't matter what you do. So all my students are based all over the world. None of them have jobs. And they're slightly better than you. Better off. If with all the facilities and all that. Once you have intellect, you can function. So therefore, with the intellect can be developed. First condition is never accept anything for granted. Number one, never accept anything for granted. Number two, question everything. Why is it? Why do you say that? Whoever it is, with great respect, if the teacher says, you must meditate in the morning, why, sir? Question. You get up in the morning, why, sir? Not with the arrogance, but genuinely find out. Never accept, question everything. And then you develop the intellect. Unless you have an intellect, you can't guide your children. I don't know, with what will you guide? With your emotions? With your impulses? It's thrown out silently. So therefore, with the intellect, you must guide them. You must have, our first obligation, you must develop the intellect and then guide them. At least take help from others if you don't have one now, because you don't develop it overnight. First thing, you got to explain to the children what is the difference between freedom and license. The children say, I want to be free. Don't tell me what I should do. You must recognize the freedom of your children. But if they cross the lines of freedom, the boundary of freedom, they go into licentious behavior. What is the difference? We are free, every one of us free in this country. And you can take your car and go wherever you want, do whatever you like. This is a free country. Anywhere for that matter. But when the traffic lights are red, showing red, you can't cross it and say, I am a free man. That is licentiousness. So when freedom is not observed with certain regulation, moderation, it becomes license. You must explain to your children the difference between a licentious behavior and a free behavior. You should be free, but not licentious. So, if you are drunk every day and come at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night and say, I am free, don't tell me what I should do. Swamiji said, no. So, this is licentiousness. And licentious behavior is deadly. So, first of all, you've got to educate them. Secondly, the deadly thing we do is because we ourselves don't follow. I. That ego is what destroys you, destroys your work, your cooperation with others, your peace of mind. It's just the ego. And you promote the ego, especially Western countries. I and my, Me and mine. I. So negotiations are going on internationally. Each one has got a fat ego. I am telling you. So there never is there any meeting point. India and Pakistan will never meet because I am right, I am right. Full stop. Who's right? Listen to me. You also listen to me. Nobody listens to nobody. Whether it is a management labor meeting, whether the international meeting in Geneva, whether it's a country to country, the predominance of the ego destroys any relationship. And you encourage it. See, the other day in US, sometimes I stay in families. An English family I was staying. He said, my son is studying in Harvard. Swamiji, that room is one of the good, best rooms. You can use it. He's away. This is your room. And they showed me. And when I went in with my bag, I got a shock. It says, my room, don't enter. I went back to that fellow and said, listen, there's something sticking there. It says, my room, don't enter. No, Swamiji, that is what, in fact, we bought it for him, he says. The parents are buying that. It's sold in the market. So, my room, John's room, Andrew's room. Some places don't enter also. From childhood, you are training them to be egoistic. And that's the most deadly thing that you can do. So, I and my, every aspect, every opinion, I don't agree with you. I beg to differ. Before he has heard you, you have not said what you want to say. I don't agree with you. I beg to differ. I destroys. Edward Carpenter, a great Englishman, a great philosopher, he says, the moment you have I, you're finished. You've got to drop the I completely, not in halves, not in quarters, but completely. If even a bit of I is left, you're finished. Carpenter. Never before could I have believed it, but I see it all now. There is no happiness unless you're clean drop thinking about yourself. All that time you're thinking of yourself. You're going to clean drop thinking of yourself. Me and mine, I and my. So how can you teach when you yourself are egoistic? Huh? A businessman comes to me. I'm not giving his name because you all know him. So the fellow says, he took an appointment. I want 1 hour with Swamiji. He's telling my folks, Swamiji just gives 5-10 minutes. I want 1 hour. He's a wise man. I want to learn quite a lot. And you must give me 1 hour. So my folks came to me and said that, man, we don't give more than 10-15 minutes. I don't have the time. If I give 1 hour, I don't know where I'll be for each person. So I said, give him 1 hour. They were surprised. Now give him 1 hour, doesn't matter. He came. I've got so many questions to ask him. I want to clarify so many things. Now you got to believe me. He came and sat down. Maharaj, great pleasure. Thank you very much for it. He locked the door. 55 minutes he talked. In between I say, that is 5 minutes. And he talked 55 minutes. That's why I told him, because I'll get a chance to keep quiet, And then he got up and says, Maharaj, that's why we come to you. What knowledge, what wisdom you got. How much I am benefited. He believes it. I didn't speak a word. This is how it functions, ego. He's well-meaning, nice fellow. In his own way, he's a nice fellow, but that I. A small a picture comes in the newspaper in the beginning. What a kick. Huh? With a bigger picture. What pleasure you get. And who are the fellows who are admiring? All the fellows who are not your well-wishers. Look at that fellow's picture is there. I know him. He is this thing, that. Any cultured fellow will not appreciate it. You want uncultured fellows. You understand? Fun fair you have for your own, like a weddings throw. The fellows who attend your weddings are not your well-wishers. Believe me. They go and complain to you. You get that satisfaction. At what cost? You don't understand. I, me. Open any book. If you find one I in the preface, don't read, including my books. I have not examined it, but find out. If there's one I, it's not worth reading. A scriptural book, I'm not mentioning what scripture, whatever the scripture is, a fellow writes a preface, introduction. First sentence, I don't wish to make this introduction long, 36 pages. It's 36 pages, he says, I don't wish to make this long. And if you collect all, one paragraph, I counted 19 eyes. You must have the eyes to see. Detrimental to him, detrimental to... A fellow wrote a book, The Europe I Saw. Title of the book, The Europe I Saw. When it went for review, he said, there's a mistake in the title. It is not The Europe I Saw, it should have been The I Who Saw Europe. Because there's more I than Europe. So, ego. Third point, you must inculcate this culture in children. To give, not to take. It's not impulsively. That attitude of giving. It should not be that the government forces you to give. CSR. What is CSR? If they're forcing you to, why should they force you? When you have that culture, when you have the desire to give, no government will ask you. Keep it, they'll say. When you don't have at least a few percent give, man. Even that they want to give with the name. Sell it. So, teach them how to give. Unless you have it, you can't. See, the hawkers, simple hawkers. I hear people bargaining, in the road from Bombay to Mumbai to Ashram, Lonavala. Many hawkers, old ladies, whole day they're standing in the sun, selling fruits. I deliberately go behind the fellow and say, bargaining with that woman. We are all, amongst us, we practice, we give whatever they want, a little more. You will not become poorer with that. Find out. Nobody has become poorer by giving. By taking, yes, there's a lot of trouble. So, that it's not emotional giving. The attitude of sharing. That culture must be inculcated in the children right from the beginning. I'm giving you a few points how to guide. Don't dictate terms. Try to guide them. 1, freedom and license. 2, to dissolve their ego. To give, not to take. In Les Miserables, Victor Hugo says, life is to give, not to take. 4th point, you must insist on performing duties rather than claiming rights. You're more concerned about rights rather than duties. Any society that is built on duties must flourish. Any society that is built on rights will perish. It's a law. And all of you claim rights. So what is my duty to you? As best as I can, I must convey what little I know. No suffixes, no prefixes to that act. Just do what you ought to do, your duty. Like Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. Be true to yourself. Perform your obligations in life, and that's it. You don't expect anything out of it. So give, not take. Perform duties, not rights. And then try to act in a spirit of service and sacrifice. Service and sacrifice doesn't mean you should leave your job. Even when you're doing business, try to serve the community through your business. How best you can help the community through your business. So, right through your life, you must develop that spirit of service and sacrifice. We need that badly in this country. When you open the door, you say, après vous, after you. That attitude. India, particularly Indians, when you go, when you come off a plane, as soon as it stops, people treading on your toes, they're walking over my body and going. I let them all go. Such a rush for what? And they all rush, get into the bus. I'm the last fellow. Not by choice. They don't allow me to go. Slowly I go. I'm the last fellow getting to the bus. Door closes. First fellow in the immigration. They don't think, So I'm let them go. One top of the other. See, if you have ever driven in foreign countries, if there are two lanes coming there, two roads coming there, there's no law. One fellow goes, the other fellow goes, the other fellow goes. They take turns. So beautiful. You will not rush. Once, when it was in this road bridge, the flyover was created, there were two roads coming up. Once I waited for 8 cars to go. So go. 8 cars. Because confluence, I couldn't get in. And the eighth car, taxi driver jammed the brakes and said, "Sir, go." So still hope in this country, Uneducated fellow stops. All the educated fellows are rushing. If you go, you'll hit. So, that attitude, après vous, after you. We got to start from scratch here. This is not the big sermons you give, unless you have that attitude. So, spirit of service and sacrifice in everything that you do. And then the parent's duty is to set examples. Set an example and don't give them sermons. Instantly they'll follow. If you wake up early in the morning, you don't have to tell the children to wake up. Automatically they'll wake up. So perform the right thing and not give them sermons. So you don't set the examples and give them sermons. Kamal. how will it work? You don't see, for example, in the institution that I'm running, the bell rings at 4:15. Everybody's up. See, unless I get up at 4 o'clock, my students will not get up. I don't have to get up. And I don't look into their rooms whether they got up or not. It's none of my business. My business is to set an example. So is your business to set an example to your children. Whatever you want them to achieve. And not give them lectures. Remember, whatever is forced is not forceful. It's a law. Whatever is forced is not forceful. And therefore, the whole thing boils down to the parents must lead the way. Be soft but firm. Lead the way. Ex-President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln says, why I'm giving a different quotation is not that we're stuck with one idea. Everybody knows this. And they've lived that. Ex-President of the United States says, there's only one way that you want to bring the child in the way that you want, is to lead that way yourself. Abraham Lincoln, there is just one way to bring up a child in the way that you should go. And that is to travel that way yourself. You lead the way. So, Albert Einstein says, setting an example is not the main means of influencing others. It's the only means. Albert Einstein. You got to lead the way. The problem is we don't show the way, but we give them the lectures. See, you could be indisciplined in some other way. That works. You can't tell the child, why are you coming late? Why are you coming late? You're indisciplined. But you are constantly having alcohol every day. You're not disciplined and you're asking the child to discipline. It doesn't work. So whatever you want, you've got to lead that way yourself. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 21. Look it up. Chapter 3, verse 21. Yad acharati shreshtaha tat tateva itarajanaha sayat pramanam kurute lokasthadan vartate. He says, yad acharati shreshtaha. Shreshtaha means leader. You're a leader in the house. You may be a leader in the office. You may be the leader in the ashram. Whatever the shreshtaha, charity means does, not what he says. Yed, whatever the leader does, tat eva, that alone they will follow. Others will follow. Yad acharati shreshtaha tat eva itarajanaha. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastadane. Whatever example you set, that they'll follow. That they will emulate. 3rd chapter, Gita, 21. So, you must set the example. There is no other way. So therefore, the bottom line of everything, the whole thing boils down to one thing. 1 hour I've been speaking. All boils down to one thing. Can anybody tell me what is that thing? All this is cock and bull stories. I've been spinning because you have been listening. Only there's one thing to be done by all of you. That is an example is one of the things. Change yourself. There's only one thing. Excellent. Develop the intellect. At least I have the satisfaction one man is listening to me. That's enough. I'm serious. One out of 1,000 people, one person listens. It's a great satisfaction. Develop the intellect. I've been talking about the intellect monotonously for the last 60 years. Nobody listens. You can do what you like, but you need if you want to do business, you need an intellect. Otherwise, you lead yourself to all sorts of confusion and then say, this fellow did that, that fellow got a jealousy, that fellow did nothing. You don't have this stuff. You will know how to fire the shots. You will know how to... See, a good driver is one who can drive well and avoid bad drivers. You can't say, I'm a perfect driver. I always keep left. A drunken fellow is coming from the other side. I kept left. What is that? You're in the hospital. A good driver is one who not only drives well, but he looks for bad drivers. Unless you have an intellect, you can't do that. So, whole thing, the bottom line is having intellect. You must develop an intellect. I told you, it's all right, I don't mind what happens to you. You are ruining your children. You don't help them to develop the intellect because you don't know what it is. It is invisible to a man who doesn't have an intellect. Intellect is invisible to a man who doesn't have it. Arthur Schopenhauer. That's the trouble. I'm talking about the invisible things. 60 years, nothing happened. So therefore, friends, you can do whatever you want with your children. Teach them profession, teach them business, teach them sports, teach them then whatever your idiosyncrasy is, do it, but not at the expense of the intellect. If you don't help them to develop, the children themselves don't know. But if you send children very young, immediately they pick it up because they got the Udhana Sakti. They are much faster than you people. But therefore, the bottom line is to develop the intellect. Intellect is not intelligence. You could be extremely intelligent and then suffer. I know a scientist in Boston who is a brilliant scientist. He suffers from alcoholic. His wife came and told me he's an alcoholic. And his drop of the hat, he loses his temper. He can't control his mind. It's the mind that goes for alcohol. It's the mind that loses the temper. He is not able to come because the intellect is not strong enough. You may have all the intelligence. There's one Chief Justice of this country. This happened 20 years back. In Delhi, there was a get-together. He took me aside. Ruling Chief Justice. I don't remember his name also. He took me aside and told me, Swamiji, I want your help. I said, what is that I can do? I thought something about children and all that. He says, my mind is so disturbed. My mind very disturbed. I'm not able to get sleep. I'm not getting to sleep. Chief Justice of the country. Other countries also same thing, so you don't have to worry. You could be dean of a university, disturbed, and our children are studying there. So, unless you have an intellect, you can't use your intelligence. Millions of doctors have passed through medical school. One fellow found out how to transplant a kidney. Millions of engineers pass through engineering school. One fellow bored the Eurotunnel. So to use your intelligence, you need the intellect. So what I would recommend is 3-year course, all of you are disqualified, age. So 3 years course is out. Incidentally, I believe there is, now they start, I don't understand this, e-learning. You find out from the people, you can do the course at home. That's what they say. I don't know how it functions. Apart from that, I would recommend 4 books written by the same author. Fall of the Human Intellect, Holocaust of Attachment, Governing Business and Relationship, Vedanta Treatise. This is a lifetime study, and you have to do it as early in the morning as possible. If you say, right from 5 o'clock onwards, 4 o'clock is out for you because you work. You go out 5, 5:15, 5:30, 5:45, 6, 6:15, 6:30. Thereafter it doesn't matter. First thing in the morning, every day if you're ready. It's a lifetime thing. And believe me, after few weeks or few months, you will thoroughly enjoy it. Beginning it will be a boredom. You can't, without reading, you can't go out. It will be so refreshing to read in the morning. It's like brushing your teeth. So that way you can develop the intellect. Other way is the e-learning. And just to attend one class in a year is not going to help you. Thank you very much.